Welcome to Zimmerman Podcast, episode 72. When it comes to business, creatives are some of the most incredible makers and designers on the planet. But I've noticed that what many creative business owners struggle with most is structure. Wouldn't it be great if someone could just give you all the answers to the nitty gritty questions about how to run a business? Well, you're in luck. Today, I have a Zimmerman student, Stephanie Koehler, on the podcast. She's sharing how less than 2 years in business as a floral designer, my course, The Business Behind the Blooms, has helped her save money and do things the right way the first time. Stephanie is letting my personal trial and error in the wedding industry help her avoid common business pitfalls so that she can make money and build a sustainable business. I can't wait to share her story with you. All right, you ready? Let's do it.
Welcome to the Zimmerman Podcast with your host, CEO, wedding professional, educator, and mom, Jessica Zimmerman. In just 2 years, Jessica went from facing bankruptcy to taking home a six-figure salary. She turned a business-saving $100,000 loan into a $1 million empire. As a creative entrepreneur, a healthy work-life balance seems just as unattainable as a six-figure income. But Jessica Zimmerman is here to show you it's possible. With the right tools and insider tips and some hard work, your craziest dreams can become your daily routine. If you set some boundaries and commit to healthy changes, you can create a business and a life you love. So let's make your business work for you.
Welcome to the podcast, Stephanie.
Hello, thank you. It's a pleasure, and I'm excited to be here.
I am so excited that you're here. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us a bit about your story. Tell me about you and your business, how you got into it.
Absolutely. So, my business is still very young. It's 2 years old, but he's not my husband, but we might as well be married, my boyfriend. We have 3 boys, and his aunt actually was a florist and had her own shop here locally for over 25 years. And one day he went to go get me some flowers for Mother's Day. This was a few years back, and she had stopped her business, and we didn't even know. So he was just telling me that, and I actually just looked at him and said, I should do that. I could do that. So why don't I do that? So that's where the whole idea began. I did not take over her business. I had my own vision and wanted to start my own process. So I started taking some floral design courses at our local community college. And then I went for it and set up my own website and all that. So
That's awesome. You just decided, hey, I'm going for it. I love it.
yeah. Yeah. I've always liked design in that aspect. And I always, I wanted to have my own business. I wasn't quite sure, but I knew that I could do a really good job at things and kind of offer people what they're not getting maybe from other places. So,
Right,
yeah.
right. How did you first become aware of Business Behind the Blooms? How did you first become a Zimmerman student?
A fellow bloomer, we signed up at the same time, but her name is Audra, and Audra Pace. She is a wedding planner here locally, and we've kind of collaborated on some weddings together. I'll do the florals for her, and she was the first one that mentioned you to me. So I owe all of this thank you to Audra.
I love that. We actually just spoke with Audra
Yes.
last week, which is incredible. So she was so, so good to talk to. I
Oh,
loved that.
Yeah,
So
she's
good.
great.
You just word of mouth. Good old word of mouth.
Oh,
I
yeah,
love that.
absolutely.
Tell me about what you were feeling with your business before you bought BBB. Like what made you go, okay, I think I need this. How was business before Business Behind the Blooms?
So getting started, and when I was taking my courses, my instructor said to me, because he had been a florist for years previously, at one point he said to me, if you're going to have a business, you need to decide if it's going to be a hobby or a business. And at that time, I just thought, oh, well, that's such a simple answer. Of course it's a business. Duh, this is what I want to do. It's not my hobby. But I didn't realize what those words meant until I actually started meeting with my clients and trying to figure out, and as I learned in your course, you termed it as, kind of the unrealistic budget. So I had clients who wanted all of these things, and I was excited and happy because I wanted to create this stuff for them. I was excited to give it to them, but then they didn't want to pay me for it. So we started kind of going back and forth. And it was just, they would go look online and find prices from a wholesaler. I think one was on the East Coast one time, and she said she was going to get her own stuff and wanted me to do it. And it just became a huge hassle where wasn't feeling appreciated for, like, as a professional, and I didn't know what to do about it. So I was like, oh, now I see what he means, because here I am lowering my prices to fit into their budget because I want to give them these great things. But now it's becoming a hobby because I'm not making any money. So it became a frustration for me, and I just wasn't sure how to go about fixing it. So that was the big thing for me that this course helped, was kind of figuring out that balance and that structure for me.
Yeah, and I think that that is such a common it's a misconception that people have, and I think that so many people when they're in business, they just think, "Well, I've gotta make money, so I gotta take every job I can," or there's such a fear of losing a client, and it's so interesting, now that you know what's in BBB, we now look back at that time and are like, "Really? Why did I stay up at night worried about that person or that business when this is all possible?" But we do because we haven't built the foundation of our business. So we are at a place where it's like anyone who walks through the door or emails us, we just think we cannot lose them.
Right,
And
exactly.
so we bend over backwards doing anything that they ask instead of going, "Okay, wait a minute. This is actually my business and I get to determine, what I do and what I don't do and what kind of clients I want to take on and what I don't want to take on. And I actually get to set these boundaries. And what we start to learn is that those really good clients, and when I say good clients, I don't mean necessarily that they have tons of money. I mean that they are respectful and they trust you and they're going to pay you on time and they're going to show up like all those things. Those people really value and appreciate and respect a business that does have boundaries and that does know what they do and know what they do not do, and are able to very clearly articulate that. I think then they realize, okay, this isn't someone I can take advantage of or manipulate. So yeah, I think that that is a big lesson that is taught in BBB. So when you first got into the course, what about it made you go, okay, this is exactly what I need?
Pretty much just diving in right away. Once I started reading, the more I would read, and I would, Audra and I would call each other, be like, "Have you gotten to this chapter yet? Have you gotten to this chapter yet? Oh my gosh, mind blowing. Like, this
Oh my
is
gosh,
so
I
awesome."
love
Yeah,
it.
no, we seriously, literally were doing that. Yes, truth be told. I mean, or we would meet for coffee. I mean, so many times we were like, okay, where are we at on this? How are we revamping our business? Both of us, different businesses, but still very much going through the class together. So yeah, it was just, there was so much, and I think it just added value in so many ways. So many aspects, starting with even my consultation. So initially, and this was just me being, I think, naive, my consultation I would do for free of charge, because I had it came from an honest, good place in my heart where I was like, you know what, this person is going to trust me with their wedding. So of course they're going to be, giving me a nice, a big chunk of money from their budget to do this. So of course it's going to be a free consultation. And I'm just in my head thinking that they would obviously be my client. And then that was not how it turned out at all. So I think I was naive on that part. So then that's where I'm meeting with them and then spending this time talking, and I'm, hopeful, or I know I'm confident in my business and what I have to offer. But then, yeah, as you've termed it, I think is they ghost you, and it would be it. They ghost me, and then I'm like, okay, well, and then that's what it took some time for me to learn that, I guess, in that business mindset, that yeah, they are, they're out doing a budget or comparing, and they're just taking my time because it's free.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
yeah, so that was a big aha moment, and really it was a duh in hindsight, because I was like, "Well, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Why did I not think that before?" So, I have started that too, implementing that I do charge for my consultation now, as I should, because it's my time, I personally then go in and apply it once they do sign their contract with me, then that is applied towards their total budget. So
Sure.
they're getting that money back. But it is really interesting to see how many, once they get that email back that there is a fee, then they're silent. So,
Which is just fine because they were never gonna book you
right.
anyway.
It saved me from all that time. So,
Yes, they just wanted your ideas, and it's what I really try to kind of get through. And by the way, this is not stuff that came to me overnight. This was just trial and error. I mean, every single appointment I had, and I had a rental business that did, flowers on the side at first. And so I had people coming in all day, every day, like, I mean, just I would have a meeting every hour. And so after every one, I just was like, okay, what went well, what didn't go well, how can I make sure what didn't go well never happens again? And I just got so tired of people just coming in and wanting to quote pick my brain or have me draw out their entire wedding layout and then them say, okay, well, we'll get back with you, and then they never do. Or and I just thought, okay, the only way to do that is to charge something. And I remember at the very beginning, I didn't charge much at all. I think it was like $10. But it was like that $10 saved me so much time. And time is money, and we gotta start really, thinking about it that way. But I think it's really cool that you have that business kinda confidant in Audra, because I was speaking with someone earlier who was saying one of the reasons why BBB meant so much to her was because she didn't know a soul in the wedding industry. Like, she was where she is, she was doing this like all on her own. She didn't know anybody. The other kind of people in the industry didn't really talk to one another. And she just felt like on an island with all of these thoughts, like I am losing money. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to price this. I don't know where to buy this, or should I have this contract or this one, or should I be quoting this way? Should I be emailing or meeting in person? She said she thought she was the only one on the planet who had these feelings. So BBB was really a gift to her in the sense of, oh wow, other people have thought this too and have turned it around. But what a gift for you to have Audra, just to be able to for y'all to talk back and forth.
oh yeah, I think we definitely are the same in that regard for each other. Very supportive and like a place, to like you say yay, cheer each other on. She gave me a call right away when she first scheduled this interview with you, and I had no clue. I was kind of busy doing some other stuff I have on the side, and she called me and right away. She's like, Stephanie, you were the first person I had to tell you. I'm talking with Jessica. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm just cheering her on. We went and met for coffee on Monday before her interview. And I'm like, we got to go get some coffee and scream in excitement together. So
Aw.
yeah, but it's very good. Like we're for each other because we understand it, we're in the same industry, so we can vent to each other or we can, cheer each other on when awesome things happen. So yeah, it's very, very fortunate to have her here too.
Yes, that sounds awesome. I have kind of one industry friend who I talk with, and it's so nice. I know that whatever I say to her isn't gonna go anywhere. I mean, she's been a vault for over a decade. I mean, she's wonderful, and I just love her. But it's a gift to have that. So there's nothing that I really hold back in BBB. Like, it is everything. And I think the reason why I felt so comfortable sharing everything is because I think there was always part of me that knew I wasn't gonna do weddings forever, and I didn't really know what I was gonna do next. I just kind of there was just this gut feeling that I'm not gonna have to rely on this for the rest of my life, and so I was just really happy to share everything. Did you feel like there was anything missing, or have you taken other programs before? Like, how was this different? What'd you think about just that kind of "let me share all of it," aspect?
I love it. No, I think it's perfect. I think for sure, you say you wanted to kind of keep growing and doing something more than just the actual, the weddings is you have found your calling, girl, in my opinion. So
You're
um
kind.
yeah,
But,
yeah,
there are people who now today have wedding courses, but they are still very heavily in the wedding industry and don't plan on ever leaving. They love it.
right,
And so
right,
I could understand why they want to share a lot, but maybe not everything. You know what I mean? I get
right.
that. I get that.
Yes.
Whereas for me, it was really like, I didn't even think twice because I was like, I just don't feel like this is going to be what I'm going to retire doing,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and that's kind of and how I felt with your course too is that you are so relatable and just down to earth that it's really easy to follow. Like the courses and they all make sense because the things that you post and in the chapters, there are thoughts that we are genuinely having. Like you've lived it, you get it, and you understand what we're going through and where, because those were maybe some frustrations you had or, just, or wins that you had. It's all relatable. So I really enjoyed that. And that's kind of where I say too, like I am a very small business. So I do this out of my home and I have three little boys. So I kind of feel like I'm a cheerleader for us little guys to go ahead and this course adds a lot of value. I know that budgets are really important being tiny, but I feel like it's a great investment. It's definitely been well worth it to me to be able to take this course because it changed everything for the way I set up my business. So
Running a floral business isn't always as pretty as the flowers themselves. I spent more than $100,000 educating myself and figuring out how to make this business work for me and fully support my family of five. If you're wanting to know how to not only run a profitable business, but also hear all my firsthand experiences of navigating how to deal with difficult brides, make automated systems, create proposals, set boundaries in your work, and book every bride you want, you need to check out Business Behind the Blooms. Go to zimmermanpodcast.com/BBB to get more information. That's zimmermanpodcast.com/BBB. I live in Conway, Arkansas, and I don't live in a big city, but it's possible. It is possible to live in a small town and to get good clients and to have good business. And I just love talking to you guys. And I loved sharing those stories because that's just what really happened, and I think that is what's helpful. And I just never am able to, I don't really like to teach, like, here's what you need to do. It's just so much easier to share and be like, here's what happened to me. And then here's what I'm doing. And it's working. And I think that approach, which I wish I could say was like intentional, but it wasn't. It was just, this is the only way I know how to write it. I think that approach has been helpful for a lot of
oh, for
people.
sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely you can tell that there's feeling behind it instead of just looking at like a black and white textbook and just being like, "Da, da, 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 da," because a lot of us, I think, especially in this industry, we're creators and we want to see like vision. So I think it means more when it's coming from like a experience standpoint instead of just being like, if that makes sense. I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but
Yes, and
so
there's a couple places in there that are a little dark, a little heavy. The contracts module, and then the very last module where I talk about a client that, didn't go well, that I kinda had to stand up to, and so it was but, it's interesting when that happened. I knew that happened because I was meant to teach about it. I was like, "I'm gonna have bloomer students who ask me this one day, 'How do I handle a difficult client?' And I'm gonna need to have experienced this so I can share it with them." But were those parts uncomfortable for you to read, or were you like, "Wow, this is helpful"?
yes, I found it very helpful, especially with the contracts. It definitely gave me structure because that's where I was kind of struggling and just kind of feeling that it was turning into me being taken advantage of in a sense. Like I don't know that it was intentional, but that's where I was just spending so much time back and forth with trying to fit in their budget instead of just laying everything down. So it worked to have everything in place and even just saying that was another aha moment for me when you taught us about don't give an itemized invoice or whatever ahead of time because they could take it and just go shop around. So I was like,
Yep,
okay, another thing, just those things that, especially on your own, you don't think of
right,
until, like you said, until you've lived it. And so it just really helps. I guess it kind of streamlines our learning curve to being like, oh, okay, so this makes so much sense, and I would not have thought of that. For it would have taken me a long time to figure that out, you know, after
right,
getting burned a few times. So
totally. Was there a module that was your favorite or that you found most helpful?
I would say for me, it was the one setting up with the contracts. That was and that was a lot for the back end, the business end of it. I would say was
Mhm.
probably the most important one to me. And the other one too, talking about the professional photo shoot for your website and everything, that was a huge thing for me too. So I went and did that right away. And I still am going through, there's so many pictures that I can use for so many different things that I'm still
Yeah.
using that one photo shoot currently. So
Absolutely. I still use pictures from that photo shoot. I mean, yeah, I mean, they last forever. I love them. What about, because I talk about, like, I have a section in there called the money guide. We talk about pricing, what to spend versus how you price it and quote it. And there's a formula in there, like an exact formula that leads to profit every time. Those were the things that I was like, man, I wish I'd had this on day one when I started. I came up with a setup and delivery spreadsheet that just calculates that for you for profit, and talking about how to like how to pay contract labor and how to pay employees. Like, how was that stuff helpful?
absolutely, yeah, that stuff is so important, and I think I know, like, for me, so I wasn't doing a separate budget for setup and delivery, like, that was included in the whole thing. So I think without realizing it, I was pricing my things too low. Because I wasn't including, like, my time and my mileage and all those things, like, I wasn't charging my clients for that. So it helped me to see the actual each specific thing and everything that's going into it and make sure that I'm getting paid for those things. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that that's another common misconception that people have in the wedding industry is they just charge a percentage, or they'll say it's included, that setup and delivery, and that is just eating into your profit. I mean,
yes.
it's the same thing of, like, you buy a couch. Do you want to move it yourself, or are you going to pay to have it
Right,
moved?
right.
I mean, you've got to factor in all that. Okay, so talk to me a bit about, I'm a member of one Facebook group, and it is the Bloomer Facebook group, and I love it,
Yes.
and I don't ever want to go anywhere else. Like,
Yeah.
I just really love it, and that's something that I don't think we talked about this part yet, but I guess it was about a year in to the first time I launched BBB, people kept asking, like, the students kept asking for a Facebook group, and I didn't really want to do it, to be honest, because I'm really not on Facebook that much, and I thought I'd have to, like, really monitor it and all that stuff. And what I realized is, man, because we decided to do it, and man, it is like everyone there is just nothing but helpful. There is nothing negative ever said. It is all positive and helpful, and it is just like, "Hey, guys, I need to know, do you have any tips for mechanics on this arch installation?" And immediately, like, everyone's just like, "Da, da, 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 here's what you do, and here's how you do this, and here's where you buy it, and da, da, da." And I'm just, like, amazed with how helpful everyone is.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, no, I think that in your group, even sometimes I may not have the question at the time, but yeah, it's like as far as installation and whatnot, I've seen some of those questions. I'm like, oh, yes. And I will seriously take a screenshot of it in my phone so I can save it for later. For that way, when that situation arises for me, I may not have that situation today, but maybe a few months from now, I'll be like, what was that? I need that. So I just screenshot it and then I save it in my little album and then I can go back and review it when that time comes. So it's very helpful, but
It's so helpful, and just naming, like, the names of the flowers or whatever. I mean, everyone is just super helpful, and even stuff like, "Hey, I redid my website. Will y'all go check it for grammar?" or
right.
whatever, because we not everyone, and I wasn't able to for a good 5 or 6 years. I wasn't able to pay anyone to do anything, and so I get it. I know what that's like when you're first starting, and you just you want someone to, "Hey, can you go look at my website so that y'all can give me your feedback?" Like, that's instrumental, that's amazing.
Yes.
So I love that everyone is so helpful. Would you pay $1 a day for more energy, focus, and drive? That's what I get with Beekeepers Naturals bee powered superfood honey. Every day, I take a spoonful of their bee powered honey, and every night, I go to bed after my kids, which is saying a lot. Before bee powered, I'd be totally out of energy by 4 p.m. Can anyone relate? Running a growing business while being a mom to 3 kids, including some pretty wild twin boy toddlers, it's exhausting. But with Be Powered, I feel more focused and driven than I have in a while, like maybe even before kids. You know, I wouldn't try to sell you something that I don't believe in and actually use myself, but I love my Bee Powered, and now I honestly can't imagine my life without it. If you want 15% off Bee Powered, go to zimmermanpodcast.com/bee to get yours today. That's zimmermanpodcast.com/BEE. What was one of the biggest changes that you noticed in your business pretty soon after going through BBB?
For me, it was like the aesthetic of my website and what I
Mhm.
was putting out there. So I was able to really present myself in the way that I saw myself. It helped me to give, just that structure and doing, I was able to set up oh gosh, my media kit, because you had mentioned that before. And I took a lot of value into the way you said to do advertising. Basically, don't do it as far as spending money. And I started making those connections with photographers instead. So, because I was spending money on ads like for Facebook and whatnot. And then I also had radio, our local radio stations were like, hey, I went and had lunch with a guy from there one time and he wanted me to pay for all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, I was really hesitant. I wasn't sure about it. And then that confirmed it for me in your course to be like, okay, let's make these connections with other people in the industry and that word of mouth kind of have that reputation that way. And then I was able to then set things up picture wise and yeah, just the website. When people can go and look at my website, they're like, okay, yes, I want her to do our flowers. I want that style. So that was the biggest difference that changed for my business, which is I think a huge difference.
Yeah, I think, oh my goodness, that was something that I know I messed up on for years, and that's one of the things that I love about BBB and the people who really read it and go through it is sharing that about advertising because I went from spending, gosh, it was $25,000 a year to like 250, which was a major, major win,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
to learn that. But then and even today, I mean, I use Pinterest, which is a free platform,
Hmm.
and it drives so much traffic. And so, we're able to kind of teach that and stuff, but it just yeah, just that advertising where you're paying lots of money or where you're getting like a blog badge or something like that's just not needed. It's
Right.
not what's gonna propel your business. And so just really being kind of honest about those facts that, are hard to say, but I think people need to know that. So we've talked a lot about business. What in your personal life looks different? Like, how has your personal life changed or better?
Yeah, I would say definitely less stress because I'm more confident in what's going on with my business, how my business is structured. So I'm not feeling the stress of running back and forth to those my consultation for free. I'm not, worried about what's what the other party's doing. I'm not worried about what is my bride thinking if she's where before, I was worried, why aren't they responding back yet? I'm stressing out over that. I've just wasted this time. Now that's done. So it's kind of giving me that ease, peace of mind where I'm just letting them know at the gates what the expectations are. So, if we want to meet for consultation, it's going to be for this length of time at this price, and then we'll go from there. And if I hear nothing back, it's no skin off of my back. I'm fine. I'm about to go on with my day and I know that I've saved time. So that's been a big thing, I guess. And just the confidence in having that structure too with everything that I know where I'm headed with it. And it's easier for me to say, here's how this will work instead of them coming at me with their ideas about my business and me trying to balance it and go back and forth with them. So I don't know. It just gives me that confidence.
Yes, and the confidence is everything because when you have the confidence and you know the answers, you attract better clients and you are able to like you said, that this you're able to go, "Okay, they didn't email back. That's fine. That was never meant to be my
That's
client."
fine. And I'm
Versus
okay with that.
yes, versus being insecure and being like, "Why didn't they email me back?" And worrying about it all day.
Yes, it's not that mentality of and I get it being especially just starting out, and I'm still only 2 years old, so I'm still a little guy, but it's especially starting out, I did have that feeling kind of that becomes that anxiety of, oh, I need everybody. Like I need whoever I can get because it ends up taking more sometimes than it's giving. So it's just, yeah, got me to that mindset of, okay, I know what I provide and I know the reputation that I have here locally and it's what I'm worth. And it's okay if people got their own things going on
Right,
that I can't
absolutely.
control.
Absolutely, it's
So
business, it's not meant to be taken so personal, which I think sometimes as women, we have a difficult time with, but if you knew someone who was on the fence about investing in business behind the blooms, because it is an investment, what would you tell them?
yeah, and that's where kind of as I mentioned, me being such a little guy, I feel that I hopefully can be a cheerleader for all those little businesses getting started. If you're just getting started or whatnot, you're absolutely watching like where are you putting each dollar. And I will say that I completely am behind doing business of the blooms. If someone is, on the fence, like, oh, I don't know, could I swing that right now? If the investment is worth it for the value you're going to get in return. Just the knowledge in and of itself in those chapters, I swear, it changed the way I set up everything. So, and that all matters. All of that, just your peace of mind to know that you're running a business, to have that business mindset, it's all worth it. It just brings so much value, especially for my business. It has for sure, because it gave me that clarity without me having to take the time through trial and error to figure it out on my own and invest the money. I've already saved so much, even just in advertising alone, because I know now, well, there's just so many ideas that you went through and learned from that you give to us that we don't have to go through that trial and error. We can take that knowledge and do what we want with it. So I wouldn't have known at the time to just go and talk with photographers, make those connections. Now it makes perfect sense. But before I was thinking, oh no, I need to just kind of blast this out all over the radio and into the social media kind of black hole and see what happens. And no, that would be a huge waste. So there's just so much that you learn through this course that it's the value you get back is definitely worth the investment.
Ah, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so last question. I ask everyone who comes on the podcast this question. So if you had Oprah's money, billions of dollars, and you had to buy something totally selfish for yourself, so not the boys, not the boyfriend, not anyway. It's like this I love this question because women have such a hard time answering it because they don't
Right.
immediately go to the selfish thing. And so, but if you have to spend it on yourself, what would you spend it on?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, that is tough. I would probably say the most selfish thing I could think of, I guess a personal assistant to do everything for me, really.
Yes.
I'm trying to think like, yes,
That is a
probably.
great answer because it's like you're just like, "I need you to go to the grocery store. Okay, I
Yes.
need so and so has a birthday party on Saturday, and I need a gift, and I need it wrapped, and I need a card." Like, that
Right.
would just be so nice. Can you pick up my dry cleaning? It would be so nice.
Yes, just to basically take, yeah, I think of all the different tasks that are everyday tasks we all have, we all do them, but the things that I just kind of roll my eyes at and like, ugh, I don't know why. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like seriously, I have to put gas in the car again. I mean, like, why is that big of a deal to me? It takes 2 minutes. Like, why should I be that like, I don't know. I drag my feet about it all the time, and I'll see my gas gauge almost on E, and I'm like, "Okay, hopefully I get out of the neighborhood to the gas station." But why? I dread it that much. It's silliness, but yeah.
I get it.
So if I could have someone do all those things for me, that'd just be great.
There you go. I love your answer. That's so good. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for sharing your story and everything. I just really, really appreciate it. This has been really good.
Yes, thank you, Jessica. Yes, you and your crew, Kelly, all of you guys you're wonderful, and you guys are doing what you were meant to do because it means a world of difference for us.
Oh,
So,
thank you so much.
oh yeah.
Stephanie, I love your passion for the little guy wedding business. BBB works for everyone, from freelancers to new businesses to established floral studios making seven figures. Want to see if BBB works for you? Go to zimmermanpodcast.com/BBB. That's zimmermanpodcast.com/BBB. I'll see you next week right here on Zimmerman Podcast.
If you loved what you heard today, even if you liked it a lot, you should subscribe and leave a review. We'll see you back here next time in the Zimmerman Podcast.